Have you ever noticed that some people never post? No stories, no status updates, no look at me moments. They scroll quietly, maybe they like a few things, and that's it. In a world that rewards visibility, they choose invisibility. But here's the question: why? Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of people who don't post on social media and what their quiet says about their mind. Let's start with something powerful. Psychologists call the internal locus of control. In a 1976 study by Rotter, this concept described how people either depend on external validation or rely on internal satisfaction. People who post constantly tend to seek external cues, approval, attention, reassurance. But those who don't, they draw their worth from within. Their self-esteem isn't built on likes, it's built on self-understanding. They've learned that happiness doesn't need to be broadcast to be real. In short, they live quietly but consciously. Now here's something interesting. According to a 2018 study published in Frontiers in Psychology, people who spend less time posting online often score higher in self-concept clarity, meaning they have a more stable sense of who they are. They don't need to perform identity, they already own it. Think about that. In a digital world that constantly tells us to show ourselves, it actually takes confidence to stay unseen. Their silence isn't a lack of voice, it's a form of control. Psychologists also talk about something called self-monitoring awareness. It's the ability to reflect before expressing. A 2019 study in Computers in Human Behavior found that people who post less often exhibit higher emotional regulation and lower impulsivity online. They don't post everything they feel because they understand that not every feeling needs an audience. Their restraint isn't fear, it's wisdom. They choose meaning over attention, depth over display. Now let's talk about dopamine, the molecule behind the like addiction. Each notification gives your brain a little hit of dopamine, a reward loop that feels good but fades fast. Neuroscientists from Harvard University found that social media feedback activates the same brain regions as receiving money or praise. That's why posting becomes addictive. But people who stay silent, they've learned to break that loop. They don't depend on the digital high to feel fulfilled. Their brains have rewired for calm, not chaos. This also connects to introversion and introspection. According to research published in Personality and Individual Differences, introverts tend to express themselves more deeply offline, through journaling, art, or small conversations, instead of broadcasting. It's not that they're antisocial. They just prefer connection that feels real, not curated. They value authenticity over algorithmic approval. They understand that real moments don't always need witnesses, and that the most powerful experiences are often the ones we never post. But here's another psychological layer: privacy as identity protection. A 2021 study from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that people who post less are often motivated by a sense of personal boundary control. They see their personal life as sacred space, something not meant for public consumption. It's not secrecy, it's sovereignty. By not sharing everything, they preserve their sense of self. They keep the line between me and the internet clear, and that's a powerful psychological shield. Let's be real. We live in a culture that confuses visibility with value. The more followers, the more success. The more posts, the more relevance. But psychological studies repeatedly show that quantity of exposure doesn't equal quality of happiness. In fact, a 2020 paper in Cyberpsychology, Behavior, and Social Networking revealed that people who limit posting report higher life satisfaction and lower anxiety. Why? Because they live for themselves, not for the feed. Their peace doesn't need proof. These are the quiet observers of the digital age, The ones who don't need to tell you what they're doing every day because they're too busy living it. Their silence isn't a lack of confidence, it's a reflection of depth. They understand that what's private stays powerful. So if you're one of those people who rarely post, remember, you're not missing out. You're just tuned in differently. In a world screaming for attention, you've mastered the art of quiet confidence. And maybe that's the purest kind of strength there is.